What would you do if the person you trusted most in the world was slowly poisoning your life right under your own roof? It started with a sound, a faint digital chime from her phone. Face down on the nightstand, glowing in the 2 a.m. darkness of our Chicago bedroom. My wife Jessica didn't stir. She was a statue, lost in a sleep I suddenly couldn't share. I'd seen that specific notification before a little red heart next to a name I didn't recognize. She'd told me it was just a group chat for a charity auction she was organizing. But something in the pit of my stomach, a cold, hard knot of dread, told me it was a lie. That night I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, listening to the quiet hum of the city, feeling the warmth of her body next to me turn into something foreign and cold. I knew, without knowing how, that my life was about to break into a million pieces. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The next morning, the humiliation began. She kissed me goodbye, a quick, dismissive peck on the cheek that felt more like a formality than affection. "Big day, honey. Don't wait up," she said, her eyes already distant, focused on something or someone else. I was just part of the scenery. That night I made her favorite dinner, pasta carbonara. The one I'd learned on our honeymoon in Rome. The table was set, candles lit. 9 p.m. came and went, and 10. At 11:30 she walked in, smelling of expensive perfume I didn't recognize in wine. "Oh God, I completely forgot," she said, not even looking at the elaborate meal, her voice flat. The auction meeting ran so late. I grabbed a bite with the team. She tossed her keys on the counter on North Clark Street, the sound echoing in the silent apartment. The lie was so effortless, so practiced. I just stood there, a ghost in my own home, the smell of cooling pasta filling the air like a funeral wreath. Her behavior grew stranger, colder. The woman I married, the one who'd laugh at my dumb jokes and hold my hand during scary movies, was replaced by a manipulative stranger. "You're being so needy lately," she'd snap if I asked about her day. "Why are you so insecure?" She'd counter if I questioned why her phone was suddenly locked down like Fort Knox. The villains. Jessica and this phantom from her phone felt untouchable. They were living a life I was funding, in a home I had built, and they were laughing at me. One night, I found a receipt from the Langham Hotel tucked into her coat pocket. A room for two, champagne, room service. The date was from a night she told me she was working late. I walked into the bathroom, locked the door, and slid down the cold tile, the flimsy piece of paper shaking in my hand. That was when I broke. The sobs came out, choked and silent, my body shaking with a pain so profound it felt like it was tearing me apart from the inside. But as I sat there on the floor, something shifted. The grief curdled into ice. The broken man got up, splashed cold water on his face, and a strategist looked back at him in the mirror. My new purpose was singular: gather proof. For the next month, I became a phantom. I installed a keylogger on our home computer. I put a voice-activated recorder in her car. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop, who looked at me with pity and promised discretion. The evidence flooded in. Text messages, not just flirtatious, but disgustingly explicit. "Can't wait to feel you again," one read. "Your husband is such a fool." That one was from him. Mark, a smug, slick-haired finance bro from her work. I saw photos of them leaving a restaurant in the West Loop, her hand on his back. I heard recordings of their calls, her laughing, that high-pitched, genuine laugh she hadn't used with me in years. Each piece of proof was a nail in her coffin. I started setting the traps. Legally, I moved our joint savings into a new account solely in my name, citing a volatile market investment she wouldn't understand. I consulted a shark of a divorce lawyer in downtown Chicago who specialized in infidelity cases. Socially, the trap was more intricate. Jessica's parents were celebrating their 40th anniversary with a huge party at a lavish ballroom. Her entire family, all her friends, her work colleagues, everyone who saw her as this perfect, successful woman would be there. It was the perfect stage. The day of the party, I was a different man. Calm, focused, ruthless. I kissed her as she was getting ready. "You look beautiful, Jess," I said, and for the first time in a month, I meant it. She looked like a queen about to be dethroned. The party was in full swing. Speeches were made. Champagne flowed. Then, it was my turn to give a toast. I walked to the microphone, my heart a steady, cold drum. I saw Jessica smiling at me, Mark standing smugly in the corner with his colleagues. I started by talking about love, about trust, about the sanctity of marriage. Then my tone shifted. But sometimes, I said, my voice dropping, the person you build your life with is not who you think they are. A hush fell over the room. I looked directly at Jessica, whose smile was starting to falter. For the past few months, my wife has been finding comfort elsewhere. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the ballroom's projector. The first image that flashed onto the giant screen behind me was a text message. "Your husband is such a fool," the room gasped. Then another, a photo of her and Mark kissing outside the Langham. Her father's face went white with rage. Her mother started to cry. I let the slideshow of texts, photos, and hotel receipts play, a silent movie of her betrayal. Jessica stood frozen, her face a mask of horror and disbelief. Mark tried to slip out, but her brothers, two guys built like linebackers, blocked his path. The last thing I projected was a screenshot of our bank account, now empty, with a note from my lawyer about assets being frozen pending divorce proceedings for cause of adultery. I placed the microphone back on the stand. "The marriage is over," I said quietly. "So are you." I walked out of that ballroom without looking back, leaving her to be devoured by the judgment of everyone she had ever known. I never saw her again. The divorce was swift and brutal. She got nothing. I heard she lost her job. Mark, facing a workplace conduct investigation, was fired. They tried to stay together, but their affair, built on the thrill of deception, couldn't survive the harsh light of reality. Sometimes, late at night, I'll drive past our old apartment building on my way back from a business trip. The lights are always off. The home we built is just a dark, empty box hanging in the Chicago sky. I won, but it doesn't feel like a victory. It just feels quiet. Thanks for listening, and remember to subscribe for more stories.